How's it going, Twitch? My name is Skull, and on behalf of East Asia Soft, welcome to today's stream. Today is Sunday, which means that it's time for me to continue my playthrough of The Letter, out now physically on Nintendo Switch. I gotta tell you, I really wish that my webcam was working right now, but it's not, and since Friday I actually have tried to fix it, but it seems the more I try, the worse it gets, so yeah, I've just resigned to getting a new one, which should be here Tuesday, but anyway, I wish I could show you what I got in the mail yesterday. I got my limited edition copy of The Letter for Nintendo Switch. There are still a few copies available for you to buy at playasia.com, but there's not many. And like all of our physical releases, once it's gone forever. So if you want the chance of owning it, head over there and get your copy now. If you've been on the fence about getting it, here's your sign, go and get it. I have absolutely been loving playing this game. It's hard to believe this is my 15th week playing it. That's just insane. But I get the impression that this story is about to begin wrapping up. I did look a little bit ahead just to see how much time we have left, and I'm trying not to spoil too much about what's going to happen. We have many weeks left, I will say that. So, as always on Sundays, it is time for us to continue. Ash, did you really have to shut it like that? This is not the first time I've seen Isabella like this. Standing casually by her kitchenette, a ladle in hand, keeping an eye on whatever's stewing on the stove while humming a soft tune under her breath. 5 years ago, it's become a common sight after the three of them, including Zach and Rebecca, found a mutual interest in cooking. After that, whenever our schedule allows it, one of them will invite everyone to dinner or lunch instead of eating out. Rebecca prefers it that way. Healthier, she claims. Zach's just too happy to be able to cook for everyone. Isabella, on the other hand, as long as there's food, she's happy. Me, I've been banned from the kitchen ever since the pressure cooker incident. Easier times, good times. Right now, however, the scene brings an odd sense of normalcy, a strange fit with all of the things going on around us. Not unwelcome, only bizarre, I suppose. Isabella doesn't follow up on her question earlier, but she does raise an eyebrow my way when I take too long to answer. For that, I only offer a casual shrug in response and a short answer.
I've checked with Zach and Rebecca. I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
I'll add in a quip or two for her if the timing for a joke isn't off, or doing so won't be inappropriate. I don't want to alarm her either. There's no reason to. Yet. Until I've received an answer from Rebecca or Zach, whichever comes first. Nevertheless, it's clear that she has plenty of questions. It's right there in the subtle crease between her eyebrows and the inquisitive gleam in her eyes. Curious as she is, though, she decides against voicing all her opinions out. Instead, she shifts her attention back to the stove and gestures vaguely with her hand in the couch's direction.
Well, if we're going to wait for them, don't stand around there. It's getting distracting.
You're just cooking. How am I distracting?
I don't know. Something might explode again, maybe. Zach's kitchen ban for you is also in effect here, you know. Now shoo, go.
Ripping pepperoni that pressure cooker, apparently.
Stop hovering. You'll ruin the food. I'll be done here soon.
She leaves no room for an argument by swatting the ladle at me, and just like that, I've been kicked out of the kitchen. Left with nothing else to do, I drift back to her tiny living space and slump down on the couch. Closing my eyes, I allow the noise from the television to guide my thoughts. The ones I've been keeping at bay, freeing them from the cage I've built around them so I won't have to think. One by one, they trickle back into my consciousness, each more frightening and unnerving than the other. So many things going on. So many things happening. The papers we've gotten from BRC doesn't provide any comfort either. Seriously, is there even a point to those after last night? What will asking those people do? If anything, this only proved there might be more copies of that dumb piece of paper. We have one here, but how many exactly is there out there? More importantly, how do we get out of this stupid mess?
Ashton,
Damn it, I haven't felt this kind of bone-weary exhaustion in years.
I don't want to think what might happen next in case I miss something. Shit.
Rebecca, Zach, Isabella.
They're all depending on me, and
Ash!
The voice snaps me out of my thoughts, abruptly wiping away everything running a racket inside my head. Suddenly, Isabella's there, crouched in front of me when I crack an eye open. I haven't even noticed the exact moment when I bent over and buried my head in my hands. Figures why she's staring at me like I've fainted or something. The crease on her eyebrows grow deeper at my lack of response. Although she's merely staring at me without saying a word, her expression says everything. So much for trying not to alarm her with bad news.
sorry. I just spaced out for a moment. Don't mind me.
For a brief moment, she seems to accept that. Quietly, she shifts, stands up, and takes the empty space right beside me. All done without a single comment. Then the next thing I know, she's gently pushing a bowl in my hands. The scent reaches me first before I've gotten the chance to take in what she has just handed me. A faint, sweet smell of cocoa wafts from the dish. Calming, comforting. Despite the multitude of things bothering me, it certainly smells like the kind of food you'll eat on a rainy day. Though from the get-go, it doesn't look as appetizing. What is it? What is this even? Porridge? Why would you put chocolate in it? And milk drizzled on top? She tells me my tastes are weird, yet here she is handing me something equally as strange. In fact, she's already started digging into hers. I'm not even sure if the taste will be equally as appealing. Baffled, I glanced her way. She offers no immediate answer. She simply continues eating as if she hasn't done so in a week, with her focus solely on the television. She's not watching, however, just listening. As a background noise, the voices from it seem too cheerful, a welcome distraction, if anything. It's only after she's finished off half the bowl does she acknowledge the question in my eyes. With a sigh, she cradles the dish on her lap and looks down at it. Briefly, her lips part, then close. A hesitation, though I don't push her. There's a distant air on her, as if she's remembered something that warrants a poignant thought. When she speaks at last, it's in a tone too careful. Like she's still weighing her words, considering the proper phrasing for it. Yet, sincerity underlies each syllable once they're out in the open.
You should eat. Back at home, Mama would never let us leave the house if we hadn't eaten breakfast yet. Even Papa has got an earful when he tried. So eat. You'll need it.
She returns to her food afterward, while I can only stare at the one she has preferred not a few minutes ago. Warm against my hands, tempting me to take a bite. Not that I don't appreciate this, but what good will this do? Zach and Rebecca's both out there. Who knows when that ghost will show up again? Even in our dreams, we're not safe. But that's it, isn't it? We don't know when, and at present we have a chance at respite. Maybe the only one we'll have. Even if it's as mundane as sharing food between us, quietly, just seating side by side like this, without exchanging any words. The intent hangs unspoken in the air, something that probably goes as far back as the second she offers food. Still, in the end, Isabella's never pushed it. Rather, she lets her own silence convey her hope. Whether I'll allow myself that break, she leaves it up to me. How could we not take her offer? What kind of monster are we?
Thank you.
The words roll off my tongue, awkward and unfamiliar, far removed from those jests and quips we've shared. Yet she accepts this with a smile and nothing more. Regardless of everything left unsaid, the sight of it brings comfort. More so than any generous offer of food can give. Though we both lapse into silence after, as we finish our food, there's ease in it. In this, in the muffled sounds of Lexborn filtering into the room. In the light streaming from her windows, and the faint draft occasionally drifting in, catching the loose tendrils of her hair. and the way her voice falters when she tries to form words. And despite the horror looming over us, I find myself wishing for the minutes to slow, for the seconds to last. But ultimately, she's the one who breaks it. Softly, after a minute's pause and words mumbled under her breath. Sometimes silence simply compels us to speak.
I've been wondering, before last night, before Mama told me the news, what if Papa passes away, despite everything? That sort of thing. I know it's not good to think about, but I also knew it was getting worse. Mama won't say anything, but I've always known that one day he'll eventually.
She releases a sigh as her grip on the bowl she still holds tightens. There are no tears, but she might as well have them with how weak her voice falls. Are there even any left?
I don't know what I'm going to do. Before, I can easily say it's because of Papa. Now, I don't have anything.
You have that scholarship from Lux U.
Were you going through my personal papers while I was sleeping last night?
I don't really have to. You left it sitting in the open, right there on the table.
Like there's still anything to hide, she snatches it away from where I placed it back earlier. Except there's no anger or annoyance in her face when she looks at it and rereads every line with a pensive expression. After a short while, she folds it neatly along the creases and sets it aside.
I don't even know if this will work out.
Well, if it doesn't, what about that exhibit you've been planning with Zach?
Do I even have to ask where you got that?
Zach sucks at lying. You have no idea how easy he is to read. It was all in his face when I asked about it. And anyway, if that doesn't pan out too.
I trail off, hesitating, measuring the weight of my next words. Genuine as they are, a part of me believes they're a burden, too heavy to impose on her. Because no matter how much I want her to stay, we are not what ties her here. It'll be selfish to ask that of her. More than anything, her family will always come first. I say it, nevertheless, if only to let her know that no matter what her choice will be, there will be people here whose lives... Wow, that's a really awkward sentence. There will be people here whose lives her mere presence has changed. Mine most of all.
You have us.
The words startle her to a pause, and slowly she turns to me, her eyes wide, disbelief all over her face. But before regret forces an apology upon my throat, her expression dissolves to something I can't quite place. Something distinctly softer, more tender, familiar. Almost in the same manner she glanced at me years ago, that day at the bridge. However, I didn't get the chance to figure out what it all means for her.
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City. Baggers, watch out, can't beat me.
All of a sudden,
Trouble? Better not lie. I'm a cool dude, pretty fly for an Asian guy. Sup, I'm
all of a
Ash from
sudden, my
Deluxe
ringtone breaks
City.
the
Baggers,
moment,
watch
and
out,
just as
can't
fast, both
beat
our
me.
attention
Looking
shifts
for
towards the
trouble?
source.
Better not lie.
Before things
I'm
can
a
get
cool
awkward
dude,
fast, I
pretty
stand
fly
up and
for
leave
an
the room
Asian
while
guy.
muttering some flimsy
Sup,
excuse
I'm
to
Ash
answer the
from
phone.
Deluxe City.
Also, this
Baggers,
ringtone
watch
is
out,
awesome.
can't beat
Sorry, let me just take this call. It's probably Zach or Rebecca.
Really? I know we're in a pinch, but their timing can't get any worse. Unrelated frustrations aside, once I step out of the room and accept the call, the stone that has been stuck in my stomach simultaneously lodges itself up my throat. The person on the other side of the line isn't who I'm expecting.
Right, Eli Shrek, right? It's Officer Renz over at the precinct. You know, you bring me donuts to keep an eye out for you and shit.
Oh, yeah, right, Renz. What's up? You've, never called me through this line before. Is this something urgent?
Yeah, kinda. Something came up this morning. You know the big guy? Your, buddy? The bloke Benjamin saw drop by here a few days ago? Big guy. Around 6 feet tall.
Zach?
I don't feel too good about this.
Yeah, him. Zachary Steele, I think.
What about him?
He's been detained and...
Wait, what?
What do you mean he's been detained?
They brought them in this morning.
That's not what I asked. What are the charges?
I don't know. Not my division. I'm not really supposed to be on the phone right now, but I thought you want to know. Anyway, I gotta go. If you want to see him, just drop by. Not sure how that'll work, though. The chief has a standing order not to let you into the precinct until Monday.
Yeah. Thanks for the heads up. I'll bring you some coffee to go with those donuts, too, next time.
The call ends with a click while I'm left here reeling, staring blankly at my phone. It's just my luck that in this exact moment, Isabella chooses to peek out from her apartment.
Was that Zach? Is he gonna drop by?
I have no idea how I look right now, but it must be far from anything pleasant. The curious expression on Isabella's face quickly melts away as soon as she chances a closer glance at me.
What's wrong, Ash?
I'm left with no other choice then. I tell her exactly as Officer Rentz has said, and the more I spill, the more grim her countenance becomes.
Stay here. I'll go check on him. See what I can do.
No, I'll go with you.
Belle, I'm not going in there for a casual visit. Zach's in trouble and...
I know, but he's not the kind of person who'd do something that'll land him in prison. There must be a mistake.
Believe me, I'm on the same page as you, but...
I want to see him, all right?
And there it is again. That same sharp gleam that has been present in her eyes since yesterday. Little by little, I'm finding it difficult to say no to it. What other choice do I have, too? Still no word on Rebecca and Zach. Isabella probably doesn't want to be the one who ends up waiting for the news. I know exactly how that feels, so in the end, a nod's the simplest response I can give.
Just let me turn off everything. I'll be out in a few.
Quickly, she disappears behind the door. From inside, the sound of her foot shuffling, a few locks clicking shut, and a television being turned off drifts out of the hallway. Her whole business inside takes only a few minutes, and within 5, we're both on our way to LPD. Now, this is interesting, because when we ended Zach's story, he was in the jail, he was detained, and he was being attacked by Ghost Lady. So I wonder what's happening to him now. And right about now is also when Becca should be jumping off a building. So I wonder what all is going to happen. At least we know where Zach is now. That explains why he's not been answering his phone. But what the hell did you do, Zach? He said he had a plan that might help, but if it got him into enough trouble to get himself in a cell, I don't think I like that plan of his. And hell yeah, I'm mad. I'm absolutely furious. It's just as Isabella said. I doubt Zach will get himself arrested because of an actual crime. But whatever stupid stunt he pulled to get there isn't any better. The only good thing today so far is the fact that the streets are nearly empty so early on a Sunday morning. Very few pedestrians and virtually no other car on the road to get in the way of us rushing to the precinct. Within the speed limit, of course. A whirlwind of activity welcomes us as soon as we waltz into LPDHQ. Fellow officers running here and there, pushing around paperwork and answering calls. It's almost Halloween, and troublemakers are abound. Oh, it's almost Halloween, is it? Ooh. Calls about pranks gone wrong make up most of it this time of year, along with the occasional altercation or missing dog. Some of the other officers who work with me look up from their desks and wave, though none of them move to stop us like I'm expecting. Standing order my ass, it probably didn't last a whole day. Although I'd like to have a chat with them sooner or later about official matters, I'm not here for them right now. Of course, it never hurts to see what they have for me, and the best person to ask for details in this precinct is the guy behind the booking window. He glances up at me once when I approach, and then immediately returns to his task, indifferent. Not that I need his full attention. As long as he talks, I'm good. Next to me, Isabella stands wordlessly, clearly uncomfortable, waiting in anticipation from how close she's sticking to me. But that's probably because she's been in the same position so many times in her life. Her drunkard brother, the eldest, a repeat offender. Mostly minor cases, but she had to be the one to bail him out every time from what I've gathered. I can't imagine what's going on inside her head now that it's happened to a close friend. Hearing the way these guys talk about him must be worse.
Hey, I heard there's a new guy in the holding cells.
Not many here know Zach, and if they've seen him, they don't pay too much attention. I try to keep my work and professional life as far away from each other as I possibly can. Each one of them is quick to chat, gossip, be the one to talk about the new detainee, and have everyone's attention.
News flies fast, huh? They just brought him in this morning.
Any info on him?
Got his ass handed by some rich bloke's bodyguard. Or butler, whatever. When we got to the scene, he's already been strung up and ready for pickup. Hard to imagine how a guy like him could have been taken down, but the butler has this creepy air to him. I'd rather not ask. Feel sorry for the bloke, he could have fought back.
That's because Zach wouldn't hurt a fly.
All said under her breath, but her grip on her bag grows rigid. Unlike me, she's not frustrated at Zach. That ire is directed at the person who put our friend in this predicament. It's true, though, Zach's not that kind of person, and knowing he might be in a bad state, whatever little anger I've built for him on the way here dissolves into thin air.
Has he been booked yet?
No, still sleeping. Creepy butler probably hit him hard.
Which is a good thing. If they slip up and forget, we get him a writ of habeas corpus to take him out of there, depending on what he's actually being charged with. But at the same time, it's bad. How long is he going to be unconscious?
Your friend was caught on right property, and you better believe I'm not happy about this. Not one bit.
I want to say there must be some sort of misunderstanding. Zach isn't the type to do such a thing, unless it was his plan all along. In that case, I couldn't just charge blindly into this without all the details, no matter how much I want to believe my friend's innocence. And Wright? Luke Wright? What on earth was Zach thinking? In any case, it doesn't look like Chief is happy, even if I don't protest and give him a salute. Not pleased at all if the fact that he grabs me and pulls me aside is any indication. If I were to describe his expression, he looks ready to kill me.
I swear, Frey, if you're behind this, if you told Steele to stalk the Wrights because you were taken off the case,
I'm not stupid enough to ignore chain of command and go against official orders. Give me some credit, Chief.
And you better be sure you didn't. Luke Wright is coming here, and we both know he's trouble. I'd consider your friend lucky if he only gets charges put against him. Maybe if we can make sure he's in a good mood, he won't escalate the situation. Hell, maybe we'll have a bloody miracle and Steele only gets a slap on the wrist, but Lord knows it's unlikely with that man.
You know him well, Chief.
An observation, not an accusation. But it might as well be with how things panned out from the night of the housewarming party to the morning that followed. His wife's familiar with them, too. Who's to say that friendship hasn't colored the investigation into Luke Wright? I don't know. I don't want to accuse my superior, but damn it, he makes it difficult.
Of course I'd too, shouldn't you? We've been looking into the guy for so long. I'd call you a bad detective if you can't even tell me whether he's right or left-handed.
That's an easy one. He's left-handed, but he's been taught to use his right. You can tell when he picks something up with his left hand, but when he realizes that, he moves it to the right.
Well, at least I don't have to question your ability. Anyway, if I were you, I'd either go and make myself scarce or sit down and shut up. Don't go aggravating people, basically, because you have a knack for that at the worst of times.
As much as I hate to say it, but he's right. It's better to keep my mouth shut and not make things work for Zach. There's not much to do now but hope for the best. They don't call for an investigation when it comes to petty felonies. Worst case scenario, he's looking at a fine worth £5,000 and 6 months in jail. Best case scenario, we get the charges bumped down to trespassing, a misdemeanor, and juvenile offense, and he'll be given probation, will be charged for restitution. At this point, that seemed to be the most likely outcome. I don't see how he could have been framed for breaking and entering unless he was taking into someone's property against his will. Even in my head, that sounds unlikely.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I think I'm a delight to be around.
Tell that to my blood pressure pills. Anyway, let me handle him, alright?
Right on cue, the moment Chief says that, you know who arrives. Idiot face. And like the arrogant show-off that he is, he makes sure his arrival is well noticed by everyone within the immediate vicinity. Beside me, Isabella gasps. She has no idea how much trash his previous client is. Now she's going to get a frontline view of it. The guy ignores the front desk even when Benjamin tries to greet him. He just blows past him, walks in all high and mighty as if he owns the place. Meanwhile, that creepy butler of his trails behind like a tamed dog on its leash. It doesn't help either that the other officers stop whatever it is they're doing and stare. Whether it's out of suspicion, curiosity, or, judging by some of their starstruck looks, awe. They should quit it, get back to work, and stop giving the man the attention he's obviously seeking.
I'm here to report a crime.
Of course, why else would you be here? You're either reporting something or being put behind bars, you imbecile. I'm going to...
Calm down, Ashton. No need to rile myself up. I need to calm down. Not for him, not for myself, but for Zach. It's already difficult holding back when his face looks like it could use a good right hook. Better to just let the Chief handle him. Sure enough, he's the first to walk up to him, bearing a smile way too friendly for comfort. Looking at them like this makes me sick to my stomach. It's easy to know there's something up underneath the guise of keeping up appearances.
I'll be happy to assist you with that, Mr. Wright. You'll have to issue your statements as victim and witness.
Look at that stupid smile the Chief has. You can't be any faker if you tried.
We'll have to determine probable cause and properly file a criminal complaint. Of course, you understand.
Oh, I understand, though I don't see why you can't file that thing yourself. The cause is obvious, isn't it? He was breaking into my home in order to pilfer my belongings.
Well, we'll still need that police report. The prosecutor will be the one to determine what charges you can legally file against the accused.
Reports and prosecutors. Why should we law-abiding citizens suffer through all that? Thugs like him should be kept off the streets. I mean, it's so obvious who these people are. You can practically spot them.
Okay, that's actually racist. Wait, hold up. Is this guy for real? Can he hear himself? He's not saying what I think he's saying, I hope.
You come here to our country, take advantage of our wealth and generosity, while we proper Brits work hard and pay our taxes.
Yeah, that's racist.
All the while they break our laws and ruin our civilized community. Trash like these should be kept contained. These uneducated...
Now, Mr. Wright. I know you're upset about what happened, but perhaps we should move to my office.
Of course. The sooner we can deal with the petty criminal, the better.
I can't believe the audacity of this guy. Did he really think himself better just because he was born
I
rich?
swear they should just ship these peasants back to where they came from. They're all criminals. It can't be helped. It's in their genes.
Oh. Despite myself, in spite of every restraint I placed on me, upon hearing those words, I can't help but open my mouth. Chief's warning be damned. This is my friend. Okay, I'm not saying that. Oh, I am going to enjoy this. Nobody will blame me if I ruin his pretty face, right? Not with all the shit he said. Nothing would be more satisfying than to see his smug face all battered and bruised. Nearly every fiber of my being is just itching to beat some sense and decency into him. But my frustration is apparently obvious. Before I can even take a step forward, Isabella steps in front of me. Two other officers put a hand on my shoulder and stop me from doing something I'll probably regret. Inspector Abigail and Officer Carl.
Ash, you know you're the only one who can help Zach right now. Don't be stupid.
Don't do it, man. Listen, we all know he's a big shot. Landing a good right hook is only going to do just that. Land a good right hook. If you want him beaten and humiliated, it's gotta be in court.
Listen to them. This isn't going to save Zach. And you won't be doing yourself any favors.
So we don't get to punch Idiot Face? Oh well, we tried.
I don't know. I'd love to see Moneybags over there get wailed on by Karate Kid. My bet is on that giant with the glasses, though.
Well, you're not helping. But you don't want assault charges on you, do you?
I don't, but it'd be worth it.
Really, it's like I can't even hear myself right now. I've grown so far as a detective, but as I stand here, I'm that rookie detective, reckless in my pursuit of justice all over again. When I shouldn't be. Not if a mistake on my part might cause Zach's life. Isabella has a point.
I don't doubt it'll be satisfying, but Carl is right. Your girlfriend is right. He's not worth your badge or the trouble. Trust me.
Not his girlfriend, but okay.
Ashton, please.
Whatever, just let me go, will you? I promise I won't clobber him.
Their hand on my shoulder stays. If anything, their grip on me tightens. In the end, it's the look Isabella gives me that makes me falter when she finally steps back. They don't even let go of me. Not until I put a good distance away between me and Scumbag. And it's awkward going on from there. The precinct is quiet, though the usual hustle and bustle of activity stayed. Everybody's making a concerted effort to shut their mouths about the whole scene. I wish they made the same effort to keep themselves from staring at me, though. They all want to talk about what just happened. But at the same time, they don't want to acknowledge that it did happen and refuse to even make eye contact with me. All of it changes in the next second, though. It doesn't even register to me until it's already occurred. Before I have the chance to leave, ready to march out the precinct, still angry and frustrated, all of a sudden, Isabella, who's been standing close to me not a second ago, grabs a half-full glass of water off one of the officers' tables and dumps the entirety of its contents on Scumbag. And the expression on her? It's nothing short of seething.
You bloody...
It's been a pleasure doing business with you, sir.
Afterwards, she slams the drinking glass down on the table with a loud thud. With the whole precinct this still, the sound it creates echoes thickly along the walls, almost deafening. In the face of her temper, nobody dares move. But she doesn't give me time to relish the disbelief in Wright's face. She marches towards me soon after, and before I can even say anything, she grabs me by the wrist and drags me out of the precinct. Honestly, I've never seen something so satisfying in my life. I might as well be grinning from ear to ear if I weren't feeling so pissed at a lot of things right now. Still would have loved to sock the bastard myself. A few minutes later finds the two of us sitting in mutual silence inside my car. With the two of us in a mood, thanks to one specific scumbag, it's better to keep our own opinions to ourselves lest we lash out at each other. Let it melt away on its own. How long until then? Can't tell. Zach's still in lockup and I wasn't able to do a damn thing past getting angry and almost socking the living daylights out of Scumbag. Really, I just want to hit something, damn it! I almost envy Isabella for having the guts to throw water at him. But as amazing as it is to watch, she still shouldn't have done that. This is Wright we're talking about. No matter how much he hits on any woman he sees on the street, the moment you piss him off, you better watch your back. It might have just been water, but she'll be living in the same city as him. Who knows when they'll meet again. He's just bunked over at Anselm. I shudder to think how easily he can make her life hell with just a flick of his finger. It doesn't help that the thought of that alone adds a whole new level of irritation on top of the disappointment, anger, and outrage. And in my frustration, I slam my hard fist down the steering wheel. Oddly, it's what finally piques a reaction from her.
You know what? You would have ended up in an even bigger problem if you did hit him.
You threw water at him.
It won't leave a mark, though. He'll live. The only thing I ruined is his expensive suit.
Still the same thing.
And you acting like this isn't helping Zach at all.
Really, blame is the last thing I want to hear right now, especially with the stunt she pulled. She means well, but But anger clouds a lot of things. Sometimes I just can't help but sprinkle my own answers with the same heat.
I know, damn it!
Somehow admitting that out loud feels like a release in itself. As if a dam has been opened, every pent-up frustration spills from my mouth before stopping myself occurs to me.
Seriously, it's one bad thing after another. First I get kicked off my own case, now Zach's in jail, and still no word from Rebecca. To top it all off, there's a ghost, a damn ghost of all bloody things, going after us. Everything's such a clusterfuck. Ow!
Without any warning, she gives my forehead a hard flick. The pain is fleeting, but enough to stop my tirade. She appears completely unamused when I glance at her. There is no trace of anger in her eyes, though. Even lacks the sharpness Rebecca has when scolding someone. Here, hers are softer, but doesn't fail to nail the disappointed mother look. All at once, regret replaces the annoyance.
You don't have to act so pissy all the time, you know?
Well, she's right about that, at least.
Not everything's gonna go your way. That's something you'll have to live with. That's just how it is.
Easy to say, but the moment everything goes south...
Well, that's why we're here, right? It doesn't always have to be just you. You'll miss a lot of things in life, the good things, if you keep thinking like that. If my mama were here, you'd get a scolding.
She throws a quick smile my way, then turns her attention back to the window. Her gesture leaves no room for an argument. For some introspection, plenty. The whole thing did serve to help clear my head, and just like that, somehow, everything doesn't look too bleak anymore. Isabella's always had that effect on people. Gratitude and apology almost form in my lips. Though before the words even fall, my phone rings, effectively cutting through the conversation. A quick glance at the caller ID shows Rebecca's name blinking on the screen. Beside me, Isabella stares, waiting.
It's Becca. I'll tell her to meet us at Salemwell as soon as she can. Excuse me.
Without another word, I slip out of my car and walk back into the precinct. Holding off on answering the call until the door closes and the noise of the city fades away behind me. However, the tone Rebecca assumes isn't what I'm hoping to hear.
Becca?
Hey, did I wake you up?
Ragged, a bit out of breath, there's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side of the line makes it seem like she has just run a marathon prior to this call.
No, I left you a voicemail, so I thought, where are you?
Ash, do you remember that one time?
The question catches me off, to say the least. Where is she going with this?
The... what?
Back in secondary. We joined a contest back then, didn't we? We had to dress you up as a girl and...
No.
What? You looked really pretty. I think I still have that picture somewhere.
Burn it. We're not talking about that again. You promised.
It did happen. Not a memory I'm very fond of, to be honest. Still, a laughter escapes me. No matter how embarrassing it is, the moment is one of the few I can remember clearly in my head. I never did find where she got those photographs.
Seriously, what brought this on?
Nothing. It's just the first thing I remembered.
You're being weird today, Becca. Whatever. Listen, I need you to go home right away. I'm at Salemwell right now and...
Thanks, Ash.
What? Suddenly her voice hitches, almost as if she's in tears, and it sends every alarm bell ringing in my head. For better or for worse, something more than wrong is happening on her end of the line. Regardless, I give her the focus she asks of me. I don't want to think that she's nearly pleading for me to listen. I'd like to imagine that it isn't horror and a deep underlying resignation that I hear in her voice. I'm transfixed.
Hold on, did I do something?
For everything.
Rebecca, what?
I'm so glad to have known you.
Wait, what are you...
Whatever her words mean, or feelings they carry, ceases to matter in this instant. They're all inconsequential when someone, Rebecca's life, might be in danger. This whole thing isn't just wrong. Wherever she is, something screwed up is going on, and I'm here listening to it right now, helpless.
God damn it, Rebecca, where are you?
A laughter, and then the line drops dead.
Becca? Rebecca!
Dread turns into terror, and the sudden pandemonium in the precinct comes rushing in all at once. Officers barking orders, the rapid tapping of foot against the floor, and people shouting for a dispatch. There's a split second where I'm torn between trying to figure out where Becca is and finding out what happened to inspire such chaos all of a sudden. See, Luxborn is peaceful as cities go. If there's any crime, it's usually low-key, in and out of the public eye as quickly as they come. Things are kept private and on a need-to-know basis, unless the media catches wind of a high-profile case where something really odd happens. Of course, there's gossip and people talk, but everybody minds their own business most of the time. So, when commotion happens and people are shouting for dispatch, you know there's trouble. It took only 2 words. 2 words, broadcasting over every police radio all over the city, including the one on the front desk, to fire everything up.
Jumper up.
Jumper up. The emergency service unit is assembling, each one hoping that they'll be able to talk this one down. An ambulance will already have been placed on standby. The library isn't too far from the hospital. Regardless, it spurs something in my gut.
Copy that. Can we get a 1020?
A cold, hard feeling that tells me I should be there.
Jumper was spotted on the rooftop of the city library. Need dispatch immediately.
But my feet won't move. The phone on my hand creaks under the pressure of my grip and my knuckles turn white. All of a sudden, my whole body's paralyzed with thoughts of what I might find there as people around me rush towards the scene. It's only when something tugs at my arm that the haze bearing down on me lifts. Beside me, Isabella stands worried, eyes questioning, a concerned frown in her lips. I didn't even notice when she followed me, but whatever she's seen in my face must have forced her to.
Ash, what's going on? The radio in your car's blasting some report about a jumper?
Rebecca.
Where is she? Did she say something? Is she coming to meet us?
No, she's...
Her hold on my arm tightens. Fear and panic flashes in her eyes while she looks at me with the same terror and dread swirling at the pit of my stomach.
Did something happen to Becca, Ash?
My own tongue has gone thick with a sickening, foreboding feeling, and my whole brain is shut off. All I know is I have to run. I need to get there.
Ash! What happened?
I don't know, just stay here,
The rest of those reassurances die on my tongue, and I broke into a run, leaving Isabel with only a comforting squeeze on her shoulder. The library isn't too far from the precinct. In cases like these, however, every minute counts, every second critical. A cold and cruel voice already whispers in my head. You're too late. I want to believe it isn't. I hope and wish it isn't who I think it is. Because I don't want to be someone who's been so useless in that exact moment, frozen by apprehension when I heard her speak. I knew something was off, god damn it! I don't want to think I might have been her final words I'm listening to. But the horrifying possibility that what I fear is real drowns out everything else. You're too late. Anything and everything in front of me are mere obstacles in my way, and I run, jump, push everything aside as I try to make a beeline for my destination. I don't even have the time to let go of mindless apologies or to explain that there's an emergency to the bystanders I've shoved aside. But even with all that, I'm too late.
Jumper is down. I repeat, Jumper is down. We've got a 1046 to the library. Over.
That is disturbing.
Copy that. Can we have identification of the body?
We've got a bystander here who says he knows the woman, Rebecca Gales from the local high school.
Becca. I'll recognize her anywhere, even from a mile away. And for once, that isn't a welcome fact. Too clear, too vivid. Her broken body lies on the sidewalk in just one big bloody mess. Her hair fans out and stands out in stark contrast to the pavement, slick with blood and redder than it's ever been. The right side of her head is caved in from the impact and her right arm is twisted and mangled. And there are those words again around her. Help me, just like the letter.
10-4. Medical personnel are on their way. Resume securing the immediate area for investigation and cleanup.
Gone.
All available officers have been dispatched for crowd control. Over.
She's gone.
Loco, over and out.
And I wasn't able to do a damn thing about it. Shortly, officers moved to pull the bystanders away from the scene. People who have witnessed the fall, passersby who just want to see what's interesting going on. Someone screaming, weeping, crying. But I can't do anything other than stare. I can't even bring myself to come closer. Only stand among the crowd as just another civilian. The world has come to a standstill. Until someone's horrified scream tears above everything and nothing else matters. A familiar voice. A blur of red rushes by. My body moves and my hand shoots up to reach for Isabella's before any coherent thought forces me to, or she can even approach the body. Because damn it. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! She's the last person who needs to see this. She doesn't need another death in her life. Not after Rose. Not after her father's death. Not after this. The tug causes her to stumble back, and gently I pull her towards me. It takes a whole 2 breaths for her to steady herself. Shaking, she braces both her hands against my arms, gripping my jacket tightly as if it's the only thing keeping her from breaking. She tries briefly to pull away, but my hold remains firm.
Don't look, you don't need to see this.
Though even then, there's weakness to her movements, her breathing labored. Any minute, it seems like her knees will suddenly buckle if I don't keep a steady hand on her. Yet it all shatters when she glances up at me. Tears streaming down her cheeks, panicked, desperate, her voice brimming with anguish when she speaks.
Ash, we can still save her! We need to! We need to!
Belle, she's gone. Shh.
No, Ash! Rebecca, she's here! She's still... We have to help her! There must be something! We can't just let her die like this!
Weak as she is, she makes another attempt to break free, but my arm stays unyielding against her, and instead I draw her head closer, her face sinking into my shoulder as furious tears flow from her eyes. At the sound of her sobs alone, everything around us fades. Every sound, every movement becomes nothing but noise. No more. Even now, I can't do anything other than stare at the pool of blood on the pavement and hold on to Isabella like a lifeline as she does with me. Can't even bring myself to move. Because no matter what I say or what I do right now, empty words won't bring back the friend we lost. Numb is an understatement. No. I feel dead inside. We both do. Zach's in prison, and Rebecca's. The weight of my own failures has never felt as palpable as it does right now. In the end, I can only hang on to all that remains. Death notification is a task I avoid like the plague. Although I've known Rebecca since childhood, there are plenty of reasons why I shouldn't be the one breaking the bad news to her parents. 1, protocol states you're always supposed to do this in person. 2, protocol also states you're supposed to do this with a partner. And 3, I've never been good with words. But here I am, unceremoniously thrusted into the task, all because there's no other one. As expected, everything goes as well as my blunt mouth can take. Mrs. Gale's relentless sobs echo loudly through the receiver when I finish informing them, while all I can say before ending the call is an empty,
I'm really sorry, Miss Gales.
Before ending the call with a click and heading back inside Isabella's apartment. Her mom's voice still rings in my ears even as I leave it all in the hallway behind me. Here, though, Isabella's cries have already faded into soft whimpers, and sometime while talking to Rebecca's family, she's fallen asleep. Now she lays still, curled up under her blanket. Wordlessly, I take the empty space on the edge of the bed. Despite how peaceful this all seems, the gravity of her death has hit us all hard. It's in the dense air now lingering in the room. It hangs heavy in my shoulders while I try to make sense of everything in my head. Most of all, it's in the furrow between Isabella's brows. Gently, I reach out to smoothen it out. She reacts with nothing but a sigh before turning on her back and burying herself further under the sheets. Rebecca's dead. She's the last person I need to account for, damn it. Although Zach's not in a better situation, he's alive. Isabella's here.
How could this have happened?
With no ears to hear, the question merely fades into nothingness. How many more close calls do we have to go through? How many deaths do we have to witness? How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this, losing people important to them one by one right in front of them. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. She, out of all of us, carry a much deeper attachment with the people she loves, no matter how little time she spent with them. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, surprisingly calm and composed in the face of this, is what suddenly cuts through the thick air.
Ash, what do we do now?
It's a question I've been dreading to hear. Unable to offer an answer, I avert my gaze and mumble my uncertainties under my breath, hoping she won't hear.
I don't know.
I don't even know how I'll be able to keep you safe.
We can't let that woman, that thing, take more people from us. I'm not going to lose you or Zach to her.
And I you. Her bed creaks, dips when she pushes herself off it and takes the empty space on the couch. Quietly, she begins gathering every paper from BRC and starts laying them out on the table. Once done, she glances briefly at me, a sharp, determined one, and then gets straight down to business without another pause. With what happened, I have no choice but to follow her lead. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam soon enough. All at once, everything we've brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed has been laid out for close scrutiny. Her encounters with the woman, our close brushes with death every time she appears, the dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be. Logic be damned. Or at least that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Yet even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of late afternoon, and eventually night, none of this makes any sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the sheets of paper I've been holding smack the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and we simply fall silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
Ash, please. Rebecca wouldn't want us to give up on this. It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of that optimism right now, I guess. Isabella's right on the other point as well. Rebecca would definitely give me an earful herself if she was still here. She had a knack for being brutally honest with her opinions. We had often clashed at times, yet I still respected her for it. Her opinion was as valuable as every other person I've led into my life. I can't lose another person like that.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper right before the open house. No one was allowed inside that place for a time that day. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean Marie.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this freaking curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay, we went in and out of the place, but no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is, maybe there's more to this than just the letter.
Possibly.
Ashton?
Hey, I'm trying my best here. I wasn't trained to deal with this kind of shit.
We're also missing a lot of things here. There's still a gap. A huge one. Even with the information we currently have right now, it still feels like there's something we're overlooking. All we have to go with is the letter and all the stuff selfish people have been keeping from the public. But what else? Where this all started? The Ermengarde Mansion? Will bringing the letter back there fix everything? How do I? The mansion's all private property now, can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. After what he did to Zach, not gonna happen. Over my dead body. One thing's very clear after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anymore, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us like she did with Rebecca, and damn it, I hope Zach's safe where they're keeping him. There are guards stationed at the holding cells 24/7, but you can't be sure. This is a ghost we're up against. Before anything happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything sink in, or else we'll all burn out. I know I will, and it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in Isabella's eyes as she looks up at me, waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few...
The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh booming noise rending through the eardrums of every person in the room. All at once, Isabella's on her feet, while I quickly palm for my gun at the table. However, before I can pull it and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the two of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
Ash, do you think that's her?
Gather everything.
No questions asked. She wastes no time getting to work, piling up the documents we've been reading through. Even Isabella's unusually silent as she gathers everything in her arms, her own movements sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hardened and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly, the lights go out, and the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles, as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and release the lock from my gun. I'm no trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this will work on a ghost, but right now its smooth surface against my palm and the trigger on my finger provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing? Ashton?
Worried as she is, she immediately stops at the slight raise of my hand. But the edge is there while huddles in the place between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, she has enough time and space to run from her position. In two deep breaths, I crossed the room and stood in front of the closet. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it has now moved to banging at the door, louder and louder the longer I dally. Another shallow breath. I glance at Isabella. A nod. Please don't be a jump scare. Please don't be a jump scare. Please don't be a jump scare. Something creaks. Then, in the next moment, I'm grasping at the handles and swinging the doors open to reveal... nothing. Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it, and still none. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards Isabella, only to see her mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up that my head's now making things up. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. In the next second, I'm barking orders and...
We should go. Isabella, we need to...
I'm sent sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine and the back of my head as it collides against the floor, with force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision. And then, I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles, the smell of vile rot assaulting my nose. Nauseating, sickening, a foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I've heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Perhaps this is just an experience, or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, my whole body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. It's in the manner her gaze bores on me, I'll say. The look of utter hatred and malice. I've seen it loads of times. From suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be the...
Ashton! Snap out of it!
No! I can't die here! Not yet! The haze fades from my mind and instinct kicks in then and there.
Isabella, out! Get out! Get out of here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my foot out of her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wails she fills the room with. Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing for Isabella's arm and leading her out. Into the hallway, down the flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring on the gas pedal the second she closes the door behind her, and in a short while, I'm driving us out of Salemwell. I don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet, even as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. A dreary downpour starts off the Monday. Although it doesn't last for more than an hour, the dark clouds lift just after the sun peaks over the horizon. Brief as it is, the rain has significantly dampened the park's usual cheery vibe. Mornings like this often mark the start of another bad week. An arrest gone wrong, another investigation leading to a dead end, or some truly screwed up shit being called in. Like the one time I was dispatched to a scene where a guy gouged his own eyeball out and almost ate it. Ew. Was a few chews away from swallowing it, in fact. Lost my dinner that day.
Fun times.
Of course, I doubt anything can top getting cursed by a damn chain letter of all things. This is the sort of stupid thing people pass along as a prank through emails and text messages, for pity's sake. A ghost chasing after you just put the icing on the cake. So far, all we've done is run, snoop about, read stuff, and run again. It frustrates me to no end how we're still no closer to an answer. Even my car reflects the state my mind is in. Photocopies of documents litter every available surface. Scattered all over the place, spilling from the passenger side and into the back seat, making an entire mess of what little space there is. Not that I'm any better. My last shower was 24 hours ago. I haven't slept at all. My last meal was that chocolate porridge thing Isabella offered. The way I am now, I'm definitely getting a scolding. If Becca were here, she'd give me an earful and tell me to take care of myself better. Say that I'm killing myself on the job. I can already hear Isabella complaining how dark the bags under my eyes are getting, and about how I reek and I need to shower pronto.
I can rest easy when this is all over.
It's not that I can't free the pang of hunger. With that woman chasing after you, it's difficult not to feel anything other than horror. The rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins and my desperation to survive. In fact, I can still sense the ghost of her touch from last night. Her bony digits wound tightly around my ankle, and that horrid smile she has on her as she pulls me closer. The memory's enough to send a shiver up my spine and make me antsy. Perhaps the only thing comforting about this is the sight of my gun nearby. From my dashboard, sunlight glints off Ophelia's surface. Normally, I keep it hidden in a compartment. Luxborn police regulations only allow authorized people to carry firearms, and even those are limited. I do have that authorization, but I never really saw the need for its use when the standard issue tasers are more than good enough to incapacitate anyone. If not, I can always throw them on their back. Those judo lessons Dad forced me to get as a kid has its uses too. On a ghost, though, all of those will probably yield the same result. They're all useless. I might as well use a stick. However, it's the feeling of ease I'm after, or what little of it I can gather from it. The awareness that I at least have something to protect myself with in case things go wrong. That I can still protect the people who are still depending on me, despite the missteps I've taken. I can't help but notice that there's a lot of story updated on the top left. I wonder if all of our decisions up till now have affected the branch in the story at this point. It doesn't take the edge off, though, the feeling that your whole body has been strained far beyond its capacity. Frankly, I've already run out of steam. The only thing pushing me right now is knowing someone is still depending on me. A stretch is still in order, though. I've been sitting here since last night. Soon, I'll step out from my car, closing it behind me with a thud as I take in my surroundings. The rain did wonders. The morning air feels crisper and cooler than it's ever been in days. For once, the weather seems to be taking a turn for the normal. Luxborn normal. In the distance, beyond the buildings lining the horizon, dark clouds are blowing in.
A storm might be due this evening, give or take.
A shame for the people looking forward to Halloween tonight. I'm just not sure whether this is something I can look forward to as well. Wonder where Isabella is. Still, I bask in the change it brings. Inhale, exhale, breathing in, taking in the peace as if it'll be my last. But as with all the good things, the quiet shortly comes to an end. Not necessarily a bad end. Her humming reaches my ears first, halting my movements. Sure enough, when I glance up, I find her, Isabella, just as she enters the park grounds, bags of convenience store food in hand. After last night's flight from Salemwell, we've elected to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will still be safe. Normally, we'd both be adverse to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted that decision. It's not like we've gotten an ounce of sleep anyway. On the off chance one of us did, it only lasted but a second, or it's a fitful one. But looking at her right now from afar, it's easy to mistake her for someone who's simply out on an early morning stroll. Her steps are light and free as she walks, the expression on her face calm, if not untroubled. Her voice fills the atmosphere with a light air, temporarily easing off the disheartening mood. It's easy to pretend we're not knee-deep in a life and death situation the way she acts now. Easy to forget we've lost someone, or one of us is being framed for a crime he likely didn't commit. If anything, it's only her appearance that betrays that mask. Slightly disheveled, bags under her eyes, an exhausted curve in her shoulders, and dragging footsteps. But the closer she gets, the more obvious these signs are to the naked eye. She passes an energy drink my way the moment the distance allows it, and hands me the other bag she's holding before seating herself on the edge of the fountain. The scent of warm food immediately wafts from the bag when I open it, carried further by a passing breeze. Whatever sweet sauce they drizzled over this pork wannabe, it smells heavenly. Hell, even the sorry-looking vegetables seem appetizing. Despite myself, without even checking exactly what this is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought. I dig in without waiting for her to start. Although she appears to be of the same mind too, and soon enough, she also starts with hers. No casual talk while we fill our empty stomachs. Exhausted as we both are, food is something we can't forego. Starvation dulls the thinking, weakens the body. If we are to survive this, we're going to have to take care of ourselves first. It's one thing Zach will likely remind me if he's here. I know that's what Rebecca would do. In the matter of minutes, we're done and dumping the empty cartons on a nearby waste bin. Along with it is the shift in the mood. Back to dismal. Back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I've missed those kinds of moments between us. We never had the chance. Always busy on some project or work. The things we've taken for granted, now we're realizing how valuable they are. With one of us gone, the other stuck in a jail cell, the world has an awful sense of humor. While the one we've just had is short-lived, it's another thing I want to look forward to, if we ever free ourselves from this damn curse. I'd like to believe there's a way. For now, we have to focus back on this. The present. Dead people. The letter. The curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but necessary.
What now? Where do we go from here?
It's an innocent question at best, but she looks at me as if my face has all the answers in the world. I used to think so, back when I was at the top of my game, and I'm still sure of everything. Now there's just uncertainty sullying whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has simply stopped working here, and we started grasping at straws. Along with exhaustion, fatigue, and stress, we have enough kindling to get a fire burning. The not-so-pleasant kind of fire.
We can't stay here. We'd be sitting ducks if we remain in one place.
But we can't just keep running like this either, Ash. Sooner or later, she'll...
We don't have much of a choice, Isabella. Even our homes aren't safe. Anytime, that woman, that thing might get us. Fuck. A zombie apocalypse would be better than this.
So what then? You're giving up?
Nobody said that.
Just because this whole thing isn't panning out the way you want it to, doesn't mean there isn't a way out. Ash, I know Zach wouldn't want you to do that. I know Rebecca wouldn't.
Rebecca's gone. Dead. Isabella, if what happened last night didn't tell you how bad...
I know that. You don't have to keep reminding me. Do you really think I don't blame myself for everything?
Wait, what? No.
Wrong. No. If there's anyone who's responsible for getting everyone in this mess, it's not her. She warned us. She warned me. Tried to stop me when I pried the letter off her hands. It's never her fault. If there's anyone she should be blaming, it's me.
I'm not... No one's telling you to...
Simply seeing that expression on her face. That guilt eating away at her.
Mel, please don't think that way. Not right now.
It hurts.
No, but you might as well just say it.
It hurts that I can't even do anything to lighten that burden.
Even if you don't, I know everyone, even Rebecca, thinks this is...
It hurts that I can't even find the right words to soothe that grief.
Belle, that's enough. We'll just have to make do with what we have. Stop blaming yourself for every little thing, because it's not even helping anyone at this point.
We both falter to silence at my words, and an awkward, stifling mood descends between us. I do not mean to shout, to snap at her, to add to that kindling. Not in a moment when any time, anywhere, that damn ghost, might get to one of us. We're both in the same boat, yet here we are playing the blame game. Little by little, we're falling apart, craving into the pressure to the bleak situation we're trapped in. Did that ghost mean for this to happen? To divide each of us so she could go pick us off by one right after? Who knows? Anything's possible now if her kind can exist. With the fire burning between us rising as high as it does now, I'm afraid, deathly afraid, that the possibility might come sooner than I can figure all this out. I still can't think straight. I can't even believe the next words coming out of my mouth. That out of everyone, I have to be the one saying these to her. This is more her forte than mine. Keeping the peace, getting along with everyone, while I unintentionally aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have been turned after just one unfortunate incident. How am I even supposed to cope?
I swear I'll get us out of this mess. I'll find a way to get Zach out of that place. But if we want to make it out of this in one piece, we're gonna have to calm down first.
Before my own temper flares, I walk away and slide back inside my car. If the door slams with more force than needed, I'd like to blame it on the pent-up anger boiling up in me. I'm not even sure what or who I am angry at. The ghost, at her sudden outburst, or maybe at myself for being this useless. Because despite her not saying anything, I know, god damn it, she's still counting on me. In spite of my failures, or every harsh word I've uttered, or how unbearable I can be as a friend, it's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks, and she follows me and gets in the car. It's in concerned glances as she shoots my way when I start the engine without a word and drive off. It's in her silence, a heavy gift, her unwavering trust. Yet, it's one I'm more willing to carry, even through my own exhaustion, if only to keep her safe. In the city of 68,000 strangers, she's the only one I have left. Though in all seriousness, a good rest is still our best bet for now. Thinking with an exhausted brain is almost as good as running around in circles. We might as well just throw ourselves at that ghost and be done with this. The local Irish pub may not be the best place to hang around when one hasn't slept a wink or you're stressed. More often than not, it's loud. Sometimes the music played by drunkards grates the ears and the whole place smells like piss on a bad day. All in all, it's the very definition of the last place I hang around after a wakeful night. But it's safe. Or as safe as it can be with G's security watching the place. Makes it easy to find help in case you find yourself in a tight spot. The place being owned by a person I've implicitly placed my trust on provides some semblance of comfort, too. Gregor, bartender G, or just G to his regular patrons, may be rough around the edges. Sometimes a bit too gruff for a man serving drinks behind the counter, but he belongs to the good folk of this city. If there's anyone in this place I could rely on to look after people important to me, it's probably him. He means well. Surprisingly, despite his surly demeanor, cares to some extent for people he likely only sees once or twice a week, or on a bad day. Not the best job in the world in my opinion, but that's exactly it, isn't it? In wine, there is truth. Alcohol, in this case. It loosens the tongue, forces one to let his or her guard down. Whatever inhibitions anyone has, it all flies straight out the window after a few glasses. It has made him observant, too. Always has one or two things to say about someone or something. Most of the time, it's me. Opinionated ass. But God knows how many times I've asked for his help when I'm met with a dead end in a case or I'm in trouble. This time's no different. As expected, the moment we show up, he's kind enough to offer us a room at the back of his shop. A single look at my face, I don't even need to say anything, and the next thing we know, he's leading us in. No questions asked. Maybe it's also for this reason why I find myself drifting towards his station hours later after having gotten that much-needed shut-eye. Newly washed drinking glasses and tumblers line the counter surface when I enter the room. Behind the bar, G's busy wiping each of them clean, likely prepping it for tonight's use. Briefly, he glances up at me once I claim one of the empty stools and grab a rocks glass sitting closest to my elbow. turning it absent-mindedly in my palm just to keep my hands occupied while my brain's busy, still trying to make sense of everything. Even at a dead hour with only a few patrons milling about, this place still smells strongly of liquor. Honestly, I've never grown fond of it. Regardless of how many times I made a trip or sat here on the same spot, just talking with the old man. I've never been fond of drinking in the first place. Yet, oddly, it's the nasty odor of the brewery that helps clear the mind this time. Along with the lack of the establishment's usual hubbub and the occasional clinking of glasses. Even more bizarre is that, through my lack of words, G doesn't say anything. Although it's clear from the way his mouth is curved up in a tight frown that he has questions, a bucket load of it, he wisely keeps it shut. Instead, he simply focuses back on his work. Rinse, wipe, stash away, repeat, going through the motions with such familiarity it's almost a trance. Watching his precise movements quietly like this, with these thoughts swimming inside my head, it's easy to lose track of everything around me. One solid lead on this, one possible way to sort this out, but will it work? Especially if my assumption's correct, and that the reason Zach was there yesterday morning was because of the curse. Something must have happened there for him to see the need to look into it and break inside that place. What if the couple had fallen victim to the curse? It doesn't fall outside the realm of possibility. I've been so biased not even thinking that they might be in danger as well. But during the open house with Isabella, they might have seen the letter, and...
Stupid, stupid, stupid. Some fucking detective I am.
That's likely the moment when Cooper saw me. If the logic holds, I need to hurry there right now. If there are any answers anywhere, it would be there. It should be there where all of this stupid mess started. It's not only my life on the line here. There are others. What happened to us, I won't wish on anyone else, no matter how much I loathe them, or how complicated all of this has suddenly become. The letter, the woman, the mansion, and now there are the voices lacing venom inside every crevice of my head, murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride whenever an opportunity presents itself.
It's because you didn't listen.
It's all your fault. Why won't you believe me?
A reminder of what I've failed to do, and of who I've failed. At some point, they all began to blur together, twining and coiling, every horrid image and memory of her seeking the forefront of my mind. No matter how much I refuse to remember the fear I felt then, to push it as far back as I can, the visions come to me like a deluge. And before I know it, before I can drown, another voice pulls me out of it.
You're doing good there, boy.
His hand is on my shoulders, gripping it tightly and giving me a light shake. There's relief in his face when I finally look up at him, although his frown appears more distinct than the concern in his eyes. It's deeper now, marred with worry and agitation. He does let go when I offer him a small nod, but the furrow between his eyebrows never leaves his face. He always has a knack for reading people, after all. Even someone who can be as closed off or distant like me. In all the time I've spent in the Force, there's only one other person who's as keen as this old guy, the Chief. Funny, and weird to some degree. I pointed it out to him so many times before how much they look alike, only for the observation to be brushed off with a vehement tone. I've never brought it up again after the third time out of respect for the guy. Whatever it is, it's clear it's something he doesn't want to talk about. Why push, right? However, during times like this, it's impossible for the thought not to come up. He even has the glare down pat. Under his wordless scrutiny, I feel like a damn rookie again.
You're looking a bit green. Sure you got plenty of rest back there? You were only out for an hour or two. Wouldn't hurt to try and get some sleep. I'll keep an eye out.
No need. Don't worry about me. I won't be able to get some sleep anyway.
Not with her face still a clear picture in my head, no.
Dad, I heard that from you before. Not buying it. What's the story this time? This as bad as that case with the guy who ate his own eyeball?
Aha! Okay, that's funny.
I wish it were. Jesus, stop reminding me. I hated that case. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you get a kick out of telling people about it.
It's useful, you know, for blokes who don't know their limits. Sends them right out the door after I start with a description. Or was it the part when the poor schmuck gouged his eyes out? Nasty, awful, icky stuff, and it gets the job done. Like I said, useful. Don't even need to call security these days if I want to kick someone out. Anyway, pretty sure that pales in comparison to whatever this is now. I haven't seen you this stressed out since they closed that case. The one from 10 years ago, with your professor friend.
Abigail and her team weren't able to solve that one, G. No one has been able to. It just went cold.
Same difference. But what do I know, eh? I just serve drinks, listen to people's problems and their whining, then make sure they get home safe afterwards. Thing is, I'm also not blind, kiddo. And you can bet your ass I can tell when a person's about to fall apart.
What? Is this some form of therapy from you? Are you going to offer me free drinks now?
Really, I can use some right now. Something to numb the senses. But when has that helped anyone?
Ha! In your dreams, kid. Last time someone gave you the hard stuff, your photographer friend had to haul you out of this place almost half naked.
Okay.
Hey, I can handle my liquor when I put my mind to it.
Not from what I've seen, nope. Besides, you usually avoid drinking. Either way, it's out of the equation. And when booze no longer counts, we just talk. So, talk. It's not like anyone within earshot will care. That chap over there only wants his cricket matches.
I doubt you believe it, G.
I've heard worse stuff. Try me.
You know that mansion down at Anslem?
Yeah, who doesn't? You live in this town long enough, it's impossible not to hear a thing or two about it. Bloody...
Well, my friend found a primitive version of a chain letter in there. Now that we've seen it, we're cursed.
A beat passes, and for a long moment, G stands there, unmoving. His hand stops short of placing the glass he's been wiping prior back to a rack on his left. All while he stares at me with eyes that are nothing short of scrutinizing. He probably assumes I'm joking. Who wouldn't? Not a week ago, I would have been in the same position. Even now, in spite of the things I've seen and heard, it simply won't sink in. Or maybe this is just desperation creeping in. The idea that I may not be able to find a way out of this. Whatever the case is, for people who haven't experienced what I'm going through, this mirror sounds like an awful Halloween prank.
It's not a prank.
This must have been what Isabella felt the whole time we had made fun of her that day.
This isn't a prank! I saw something!
Now it's too late. We're stuck in a never-ending nightmare where the only way out might be death. And like I've expected, G's reaction to it, an amused laughter. It booms through the whole pub after a long bout of silence, like I've just told him a particularly funny joke.
Okay. Good one, kid. You don't want to spill. No one's forcing you. Seriously, though. Good one.
Although I want to be angry at him, I can't find it in myself. Can't even muster the energy for a scowl or a glare. Nothing but a taste my own medicine to temper the annoyance bumbling up in me, I suppose. In the end, echoing her words is the best I can do.
It's not a joke.
Yeah, all right, good luck with that. You're on your own. Here I thought you didn't have an ounce of humor in that body. Guess I'm wrong.
He shakes his head, lets out another chuckle before turning to his task. By now, almost half the glasses have been put away. The only ones remaining are the smaller kind used for shots and stemmed ones for cocktails. Despite being busy with his task, his amusement does not entirely disappear from his face. He keeps talking as if I'm simply another customer he entertains with his stories. But we both know it's more than that, if the wistful expression on him says anything.
Man, can't believe you're the same rookie who walked in here almost a decade ago. Too smart for his own good, that boy. He's always been 2 steps ahead of things. Now he's here, sulking.
I must have screwed up somewhere then.
I must have screwed up a lot. For things to suddenly shift like this, for me to become a mere shadow of the person I used to be.
No, I don't think so. This one, screwed up? Not by a mile. It's too early to say. You've still got several years ahead of you, Holmes. Take it easy. But some things change, eh? It has been years, and you were a kid back then. You know, the sort that's a bit unsure, making all the horrible decisions in life he'd eventually be embarrassed to talk about.
You never stop calling me kid, though.
Well, you still are. It's just that this time, you're sure of who that badge and gun is for. What was it you police types usually say? To protect and serve, yeah?
A significant pause follows at its heels. From both of us, as he allows its meaning to sink in and spur something in me, stirring a feeling both heavy and forceful, but not completely unwelcome. Familiar. Though before I can even clarify what he's trying to imply or gather my thoughts on the matter, G turns away to begin his work on the silverwares. He'll need these too, once more of his patrons come in for lunch. Slow and easy. A sharp contrast with the strained air we've been wading through these past weeks. A fleeting moment, but one I allow myself to relish, if only because of its absence lately. The way things are now, this is almost a gift. So when it all ends with the sound of my phone ringing, a sigh is all that leaves me. I placed the damn thing on low volume last night, but it does nothing to keep it quiet. I don't even know if I want to answer it right now. It has brought me nothing but one bad news after another. Thinking back about it only makes me want to clutch it into the closest trash bin I can find. Not that it'll help things, of course. Another exhale slips past my lips before I pull it out, quickly swiping over the screen without checking the caller ID. After all, the one person who will worry or fret over how awful I might sound right now is here with me. My parents never call around this hour, so chances are it's probably just the chief or Abigail. There's Zach, but he's in a position where contacting me is impossible, placed in jail by some scumbag for a crime he likely didn't commit. No use pretending what I'm not when it's anything but.
Inspector Frey speaking.
Good morning, sir. Sorry to bother you this early.
Oh, they forgot to filter that.
What is this about?
It's about your friend, you know? The guy I called you about yesterday, the one they put in the night before. Zachary Steele.
His hesitant note does nothing to diminish the lump that has suddenly lodged itself at the base of my throat. What are the chances? What are the chances that something went wrong while I'm not looking? While I'm out here brooding of all things?
How is he? Is he doing okay?
We actually have a problem, Detective Inspector.
Hasty assumptions aren't a usual fare in my book. That shouldn't change right now. The precinct is secure. It's supposed to be. They have guards manning the station 24/7. If anything happens, all Zach has to do is shout and someone will be there for him. Even if it's a phantom going after him, he should be safe there. He should have been. Yet none of the reassurances will allay my suspicions, and whatever little thread of hope I'm hanging on to frays slowly as each second of silence passes us. An expectation so weak, faint, I might as well just let it go and prepare myself for the worst. It's a feeble attempt at optimism I'll never get used to. This is out of my depth. This isn't my forte. Zach's, maybe. Rebecca's, too. Never mind. Hell, this is the kind of mood Isabella's always unknowingly brought with her. With her eyes often conveyed what I've found myself searching in her whenever I look to them. But no matter how many times I repeat any words of comfort or calming images inside my head, the hollow chill at the base of my stomach refuses to ease. Even my voice shakes when I urge Officer Renz to speak again, weak and unsteady. The only thing keeping me from stumbling when I abruptly stand is the counter's solid support behind me, the flat of my head braced against it for leverage. Hand.
Officer Renz. Renz, right? What happened? You're supposed to keep an eye on him, yeah? It's protocol.
Your friend, sir, he's... I think it'd be better if you just saw it yourself, sir. This isn't something you should be hearing over the phone. Chief Inspector Lee wants you to report in as well. It's about the case Luke Wright filed yesterday, and...
The rest never registers. Rather, my brain refuses to acknowledge any of it, not even the possibility that this might just be a terrible joke. All I can think of is the suffocating dread and the piercing noise, white and deafening, ringing in my ears despite the bar's morning rush. There is only Zach. Only the whole expanse of Luxport, separating me from the one person I still believe safe from the whole screwed up situation we found ourselves in. Along with the voices. Vile ones. Whispers that taunt, jeer, and mock. Each vague utterance growing relentless as I make my way out of the bar without another word to G and slide back into my car. Driving off with my body on autopilot, mind in a daze and afraid. Utterly afraid that I have lost someone in my life again. The whole precinct is in an uproar. Officers move in and out from the main work hall with rapid steps. Phones blare loudly from the comms room, and calls are being made from the dispatch area. The rest has been left standing, watch the whole commotion with a nervous energy. From further back, the chief's voice booms above the uproar. I'm not even shocked. He may appear like a bumbling fool at first glance, but he has kept the city safe for years. For something to happen in his jurisdiction, inside his own precinct right under his nose, he has the right to be royally pissed.
What do you mean you don't know? Don't give me that shite, Sergeant! How can one person, slip past you? You can't even keep an eye on one man!
His statement gives me pause. Am I wrong? Did Zach escape somehow? I'm not condoning it, neither do I believe Zach's capable of doing, let alone thinking of it. But if it's what happened, I'll be equally as cross as the chief. This won't help his case. This will only complicate things with Wright and put the both of us in a tight spot. I won't be able to help him once red tape prevents me from doing so. Yet a hint of relief still washes over me as I walk closer to my boss, mentally preparing myself for whatever reprimand he's about to dish out.
What's happening, Chief?
Except he merely glances at me with an inscrutable expression. Although, if I'm going to read deeper into it, I'll say it's the closest expression he can get to shooting me a pitying look. For the first time in my years in the force, I find myself wishing to hear a reprimand from him. Whatever that stare means, it can't be good. Coupled with Officer Renz's tone this morning, it does nothing to calm the uneasy feeling in me. Boss even seems relieved to see me. After the last few exchanges we've had these past 2 weeks, you'd think the man doesn't want to see me right now.
About time you got in here.
I got caught up in something. Sorry, Chief. What's going on? Is there a problem with Zach?
He hesitates for a second before his frown eases with a long, dragged-out exhale.
I'm not sure if you can call this a problem, Frey, but I'll let you be the judge of that. Follow me. And you, I want your full report about this by the end of the day. It better be good or you are kissing that badge goodbye.
The officer he's addressing, the sergeant, a man in his late 20s to 30s who transferred here last year, shrinks back in his chair. I don't quite remember his name. I've only seen him quite a number of times since I've often out of the precinct. But if my memory serves me right, he's the guy currently assigned to late night shift, at least until the month ends. Depending on how bad this is, he'll either be given a verbal warning, a suspension, or a dismissal. It's not a position I envy him for being in right now. Although there's really not much time left to feel sorry for him either. As soon as the chief's done roasting the other officers behind the guy, he gestures for me to follow. Straight towards the precinct's holding cells. And it's as if a switch is turned off. The moment he steps away from the small crowd, the entire main lobby goes silent. For one reason or another, it feels like everyone's simply waiting for the metaphorical hammer to fall. Even their stares before we turn to an adjacent hallway exude the same pitying vibe as the chief's. All of which I might have easily ignored any other day. People here can be a bunch of gossip mongers. It's only the significant glance Chief throws my way before pushing the door open that stops me. Not that there's even a need to mull over it. Because the moment he swings it open, it strikes me. A sharp, dry, metallic scent. I've already grown familiar of it over the years. It's another one of those things you'll have to get used to once you start handling the homicide cases. Now just a whiff of it tells enough for me to gauge the severity of the situation. This isn't the festering smell you get when someone in the room has a flesh wound. It lingers far too much in the air, hangs far too heavily even where I stand. No. This is what you get when someone has spilled blood all over the room. This is what you get when there's a large pool of it. This is what you get when no one bothers to clean up for a few hours because forensic work isn't done yet. This is what you get when there is most certainly a dead body somewhere. I don't want to think of the who yet. There are simply too many possibilities, too many variables unaccounted for here to form a single conclusion. However, when the chief of Luxborn Police refuses to provide answers, a chill easily fills every nerve in my body. Almost in a trance, I follow after him without asking anything or saying another word. For the first time in years, I feel like a damn rookie again. Fresh out of training, newly instated, and still on my first homicide case. Except I didn't balk at the idea of seeing a dead body then. Now, as light flashes fleetingly from the far end of the hall, while CSI documents the scene and the forensics team gather evidence, the only thing my instinct tells me is to run. As far from here as possible. As if I don't have 10 years of detective work under my belt. It echoes inside my head like a mantra.
It's because you didn't listen.
It's all your fault. Why won't you believe me?
Over and over and over. Rising and ebbing, a tidal wave of thoughts and murmurs surging and crashing against my ear. More deafening than the drum of my heartbeats and shallow gasps. Churning and heaving till the self finally comes into view and I'm afforded a clearer look of what's inside. Ah, man. The whole world stands still. In one single moment, every noise, every smell, every person in the room all ceases to matter the second my eyes land on his prone form. There's only red. 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 Blood everywhere. On the floor where a copious amount of it has pooled. On the walls, smeared on every crack and tile his hands can reach. On his face and shoulders, dripping from every gash and tear, flowing from the hollow gap where his eyes should have been.
The custodial officer found him when they brought in breakfast. It was too late. He was already dead by that time. Some 3 to 4 hours, according to the blokes from forensics.
There had been a struggle, based alone on the smear pattern left on the bars and floor, but only so much as this small cell will allow him. I can already imagine how it went down. He was likely left with no other choice, cornered like an animal at the mercy of his killer. In this cell there would have been no escape. The only thing he would have been able to do is shout for help. Perhaps the same plea written on the floor closest to him. The same one written on the pavement close to Rebecca's remains. Help me. Help me. Help me. Help that he didn't even get. And it calls for a whole lot of questions. Not the hows. Logic has already flown out the window from the start. She has the means to get to us. Get to all of us, bars and walls notwithstanding. The whys, though.
No one heard him? Not even one from the guys on duty last night?
Because Zach's not an idiot. He would have asked for help. He would have yelled.
Oh, one of them did, but thought nothing of it.
Then why didn't they do anything? He's just a room away!
They must have assumed your friend's just asking for attention. Henry wasn't clear on the details when I questioned him about it. You've been serving in this precinct for more than a decade, though. You should be aware by now how rowdy the folks we detain here can become. But that's not the only problem we have here. Someone got in and out of this place without anyone noticing. Even the surveillance footage is a bust. Tech's going over it now, but I don't think we'll get anything from it.
Something tells me that I'm getting the bad ending. Something tells me that I am not getting the good ending for this game. And I don't think I appreciate that.
The media will have a field day when they learn of this, Frey. Keep it mum for now. I'll let you know because he's your... well, you deserve to know. The poor bloke's your friend, after all. I just don't want the commissioner hearing of this before I can tell him anything. Or at least, until we've figured out how the butcher got in.
You think this is an inside job?
What else can it be? It's either that or we have a damn good criminal mastermind walking this city.
Really, I want to say something. I want to tell him this isn't what he's thinking. That all this time the Anselm Butcher never existed. This is a curse the people of the city have been laughing up for centuries. The way things are going, we'll simply find ourselves at a dead end. Chances are, they'll just have to find an innocent chap to blame for everything, like what Wright did to Zack. A scapegoat for things they can't explain. But how am I supposed to tell anyone, let alone get them to believe my words? I'll sound like an idiot. They'll likely brush me off the same way I've done with Isabella's warnings. In the end, clenching my fists at my sides and gritting my teeth is all I'm able to do. Zack's lifeless face stares back at me, and accusations in them sharp and searing. An expression that etches itself deep within my mind once the first officer waves us both out of the room. Another ghastly image I'll never be able to forget. Just like Rebecca's bleeding corpse on the pavement. Another memory I'll probably haunt me until my last dying breath. Another regret. And this is where I save the game. Should have done that a while ago, just now doing it. Man. That was... crazy. I really think that we're not getting a good ending. That's crazy, man. All right, well, that was The Letter. I'll be back to continue it next week. Be sure to pick up a physical copy, etc., etc., etc. Saving once again. Until next time, on behalf of East Asia Soft, I have been Skull. Have yourselves a great day and a great week, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.